Cape Cod Broadcasting weaves the listening environments of 99.9 WQRC, Ocean 104.7, WFCC Classical 107.5, Cape Country 104, and CapeCon.com's website experience to reflect the lifestyles of the people who live, work, and play on Cape Cod. We hope that you enjoy this podcast.
I'm Laura Reckford, and this is Sunday Journal. I'm here in the studio with Kathy and John Ohman, founders of the nonprofit Forward, which is an acronym for Friends or Relatives with Autism or Related Disabilities. Kathy and John, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Laura.
Let's start with you giving us some background about your experiences, because they're very much a part of how this nonprofit came about.
John and I have three sons, and our two youngest boys have autism. They are both on very different ends of the autism spectrum. Our youngest son is turning 22 and is in a day program currently and needs to, we think, live in a community with his peers as other young adults go off to college or to live in apartments with friends or to get married. Our youngest son has profound communication difficulties and an inability to socialize with others. He can't carry on a conversation, but he's very interested in participating in his world and has some skills that he could use in vocational programs and talents that he can contribute to a community of people. So we have been working with the town of Dennis, which has done an extraordinary job of helping us site a location and start on a path to procure some land to build a small-scale model housing community for people with autism and other related disabilities. And we've been working with not just parents, but teachers, other community people from HAC and Capabilities in our municipal affordable housing trust in Dennis, and people who have worked with these young adults as children and see that they need a place to live and to thrive and grow. And we think that we found that place in Dennis.
Now, and was Forward started specifically for the housing development, or does it have other things that it wants to do within its mission?
There's certainly many things we'd like to accomplish in our mission, but our mission is to develop a small-scale housing community for folks for adults with autism and related disabilities where they can thrive and grow in a safe, supportive environment. And we came together because we had been talking and working with town leaders in Dennis who about a year and a half ago identified a piece of property. So we organized this nonprofit around pursuing that property and developing a community. We're also interested in providing education, and in fact this week we're having a police officer from a program called ALEC, which is Autism Legal Enforcement Education Coalition, and we'll be at the Dennis Police Station with the training for first responders, for police and fire, to learn about who people with autism are and the kinds of situations they may run against if they're called on an emergency basis to a home or another situation in the community. So we're interested in building housing and providing a service with the housing, and then providing education in the community and helping these adults be involved as much as they can be with their community.
So there's education with first responders and people in the community, and I think isn't a part of the small-scale housing community that you would provide some sort of activities for the people living there.
Certainly, that's the idea of people living together, that they could work together, recreate together. In the future, probably some way down the road, we envision having a common building where we could have dances and family dinners and other recreational activities. And it's also very important for people to have activities outside of Forward, outside of their physical environment, like other people do. These folks, we imagine, will go out to work or to their day hab program and then be involved in in the local agencies in the Cape Cod community for recreational activities on the weekend, as many other folks are. And we hope to see them involved in our libraries and gyms and other places where you would, in recreating and exercising and educating themselves with other people, typical people in the community.
We also envision the community coming into this community and being part of it, maybe through community gardens or a meeting center where they could come in and see that these people are part of the community. They're not people outside that they need to fear or think negatively about. That these people have grown up in the community and they will continue to be part of that community.
Now, had you researched other housing developments or communities like this? Do they exist around the country, or is this a very unique idea?
There's certainly other models, and we're very much in the process. We've visited several models, and we're very much in the process of continuing to do that. Here on Cape Cod, there's a LIFE program in Mashpee and Hyannis, and we visited New England Village in Pembroke, which is it's bigger. It's on a much bigger property. They've been around for about 40 years. They were started by a group of parents when the institutions were first opened in the 70s, and my understanding is that they're full. They're at capacity. They have, I believe, 77 or 78 beds, and they are currently at capacity with people who, in most cases will live there for the remainder of their life.
What has to happen now? Is there a town meeting vote, or is it about fundraising?
Actually, this is a great question. We had the selectman and the town manager and the town planner all get involved in a positive way of creating this possibility. They identified about 5 acres of land on Holcomb Rock Road in Dennis Village, and we had to bring it before the selectman, who moved it forward positively to town meeting on October 28th. The Finance Committee, which has been a very formidable hurdle in any kind of financial situations with the town of Dennis, also unanimously approved the selection of this property for this purpose. We went to town meeting and had an overwhelmingly positive response, and we're very grateful for that. And that's the next step. That step being completed, the next step now is they're going to create a request for proposal called an RFP to bring this out to anybody in the community that would like to build something of this nature for people of those certain disabilities.
And then, obviously, your group would answer the RFP, but perhaps others might also.
That's right. We'll respond to the RFP, and other agencies are welcome to do that. The request for proposal will be for housing development for adults with autism and related disabilities. So it would have to be a similar group that would respond.
Now, will the town own the development, or are you leasing it from them, or how does that relationship work?
The town will continue to own the property, and we, if we're successful, will lease it on a long-term basis.
And so the leasing arrangements, have those been made, or are those sort of to be worked out? Or?
I think they'll be worked out after we respond to the RFP and after the successful bidder on the RFP is selected.
And how many units will there be at the development?
We're hoping to build up to 16 units or individual bedrooms in 4 houses. So each house would have 4 bedrooms. And again, as we go through the RFP process, we'll see if we're able to build up to the 16 on the 5 acres. It's actually, I guess it's 4.9 acres that have been allotted.
And they're sort of apartments, are they? Are they more like, are they full housing units, or?
Well, there'll be actually 4 individual suites within a house, when 4 houses altogether. The model actually is very beneficial to the town of Dennis and any other community that would like to get involved in this in the future, because it adds to the affordable housing stock. As you know, Massachusetts has had a requirement that all towns meet 10% affordable housing. And when someone like as wonderful an organization as we have can come forth with 16 affordable housing units, that's a remarkable achievement for the town of Dennis, and it marks them as having great progress within the Massachusetts community.
I'm Laura Reckford, and this is Sunday Journal. I'm talking with Kathy and John Ohman about the nonprofit Forward and the housing they are planning for young adults with autism. Is the housing just for young adults, or can it be any age people with autism?
Any age. It would be for any age.
But I think you thought of it originally for young adults because they might age out of schooling at some point, and that might be the time when people are looking for perhaps another housing option. Is that right?
Right. People with special needs age out of special needs services at age 22, sometimes before that, depending on what programs they're in. And what we find here on the Cape and across Massachusetts is that there are many vocational day hab programs for people. Our understanding is that 80% of adults with autism live at home. And that what that signals to us is that there is a limited plan for where these people end up living when their families, their parents, are unable to take care of them as we all get older. So that's one part of this autism puzzle for people with young adults. The other is that during their school years, there tend to be more services available after school hours and to help develop these people as well-rounded individuals. And after 22, there just isn't much out there for people, especially living at home. And we see that people are isolated behind closed doors in their own homes, in their own neighborhoods. And we think that this type of community will be beneficial to people, will help them continue to grow, as all of us need to continue to grow as adults, and all of us typical people, if I suppose I shouldn't even say that, but we have opportunities to continue to grow, and they are very, very limited for people past age 22. So it comes from a movement of parents there are many, many young people turning 22 every year in Massachusetts with limited options for housing. Currently on Cape Cod, there are no new beds available for people in group homes for the developmentally disabled. None.
Now, do you have a sense of the prevalence of autism? And I know there's a spectrum that we're talking about here, but on the Cape, statewide, nationally, do people have a ballpark on that? Because we hear about it so much lately.
We hear in the news, I think, a lot that currently 1 in 68 people are diagnosed with autism, which is just an amazing figure. 20 years ago, when our now 23-year-old son was diagnosed, I think the statistics were like 1 in 10,000. And I'm not sure why or how the incidence of autism has risen so dramatically. But what we're finding when we're out talking about Forward and working with the community is that there is simply one degree of separation. Everyone we talk to either has a relative, a close friend, a friend with a son or daughter with autism, and it's very prevalent. And again, we realize that. So if 80% of these people who are adults are living at home, our question is, what's the plan for their future?
Have you gotten a feel for how many people might be interested in the beds?
Yes and no, not specifically, but yes, we've heard from lots of people who, grew up with our kids or who we're familiar with, people from the Cape, people from off Cape. The Cape is a place, as we know, where people have summer homes, and we're also involved with people who are here in the on season and other places in the off season who have been working with us. We're aware of other groups of parents across the state that are working towards hopefully developing similar things. What we're hearing, especially since town meeting, which was so overwhelmingly successful for us, our town meeting voted 213 to 6 in favor of our proposal. We needed a 2/3 vote, and it was nearly unanimous. And since then, we've just heard from people whose own children grew up in our school system, who grew up with our kids, who are making donations and are offering their help, and recognize that their kids went to school with people with profound disabilities who need to remain in the community in a positive way.
And we should mention you just mentioned donations, and it is a 501c3, and people can donate?
That's right. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, and if people would like to donate, they're welcome to go to our website, which is www.go-forward.org.
And I wanted to get back to just autism in general and what you found might be some of the misconceptions people might have of people with autism.
Well, autism is definitely a spectrum disorder. So every young person with autism, older person with autism is a different character. As my wife often says, is we've met one autistic person, you've met one autistic person. Even in our family, our son John, who is 23 and we were told he would never talk, is now on the in the National Honor Society at the University of Massachusetts, using the Disability Center, using all kinds of available help to get through this. But he's able to work through his disorder in a very successful manner. Our son Patrick has not got those kind of skills and needs the program like Forward would bring. But nationally, autism is a burgeoning problem. One thing that's a misconception, I think that people don't realize that 4 out of 5 of everybody that is on the autism spectrum is male. And it's carried on genetically through both sides of a family. And people don't realize where this comes from. I think that there's been misconceptions about vaccinations, and that's all been debunked. It's a burgeoning situation that really needs to be controlled. One of the things we want to do with this project, too, is we want to make it a model for other communities. If we can do this, we can take the same exact model and bring it to other communities throughout the state and beyond. And we're very excited about that option, too.
We have, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that we're just so gratified by the community involvement in what we're doing. We've been working with Housing Assistance Corporation and Capabilities, and as I mentioned previously, our Municipal Affordable Trust and leaders in the town of Dennis. It's been an amazing journey so far to bring these groups together, and there's a lot of promise for the future with Forward.
And we have just about a half minute left. Anything else you'd like to tell our listeners?
Our website is www.go-forward.org. And I would just encourage people to listen closely to what they're hearing in the media about autism. It's a huge developmental disability. And as John said, it's a spectrum disorder with people from many different abilities and capabilities, and we're hoping to build a community where we can use their talents and help them grow in a safe, supportive environment.
And unfortunately, we're out of time. John and Kathy Ohman, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to
be here.
Thank you,
Laura.
I'm Laura Reckford, and this is Sunday Journal.
This podcast is a presentation of Cape Cod Broadcasting, which is solely responsible for its content. Thank you for listening. For more information, please visit us at capecodbroadcasting.com.